Hello everybody. Today we're going to see how I draw Franklin Finbar from Jumanji 2. Okay, pencils first and then Sharpies. So if you don't want to watch the pencil portion of the video where I sketch the entire thing out, look in the description and you'll see a link that you can click on that will take you to the Sharpie portion of the video. There's even going to be one for color. So for those of you that are going to stick around, I'm going to start off with a quick sketch for myself, and then we'll have some Finbar fun. Okay, so I'm going to have him kind of hunched over a little bit, kind of in a action pose, and then we'll go from there. And it shouldn't be too hard. He's pretty much just regular clothes, nothing too crazy. So I just have to, like I just said, put him in a good pose and flesh it out, and then we'll see where we go. Let's see. I'm trying to think of just some simple hands, nothing too crazy and nothing too big, right? Because I tend to go too big whenever I sketch out my stuff. Whoa, that's a little big. That's a little big. So see, I always do that, but at least I can catch myself. I know what to look for. I've learned from my mistakes, and I know what to keep an eye out for, and I know how to correct them. And that's the nice thing about learning your weaknesses is, or finding out about your weaknesses is learning from them, because you can see what you need to work on, and where you can adapt. So never think of a weakness as a weakness. I mean, basically, it's just something that needs to be developed is all it really is. So don't ever freak out or be upset if you think you got a weakness. It's no big deal. We're all here to learn and figure stuff out, you know? Okay, I'm going to try to throw his goggles in here. Let's see. Just kind of a pack floating off like that. And let's see, his head's going to be something like that. And I think, you know what? He's got straps. I'm going to have him holding on to this one over here. And that'll kind of guide this arm to something like this. Has anybody seen the movie yet? I don't know when this one will come out versus if the movie's out yet. So I'm just curious if you liked it. I liked the first one. Well, I mean, I liked them all. I was about to correct myself with the first and all that stuff when, there was one a long time ago in the 90s. But I love those movies. I loved all of them. They were so much fun. And sometimes I'm that old man that says, why do they got to redo something? It was good the way it was, But this was actually good for a redo, I was very surprised by that. I'm an old man that can admit when I'm wrong and admit when I can be swayed. My mind can be changed, and that's good. I'm so glad about that it's a good version, because we all deserve to see good stuff. And I'm so glad when they make efforts to do something and it works out. Yeah, positive. Always stay positive. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we're pretty close here. I'm just going to have to sketch out a face here in a second, because the feet or the rest of the body's working out pretty good. I like where I'm going. And like I said, it's pretty much just, anatomy. For the longest time, for the last, like 9 months, I've been doing nothing but Fortnite characters, because they kind of took over. There's so many. And so it's kind of refreshing to do something different. And sometimes eye-opening that I don't have to draw all this armor and you know, different things like that where I can just draw regular clothes, you know, because there's more stuff out here. You know, this is how I draw. This is what I like to draw. So it's, like I said, it's kind of fun and refreshing to come across something like this and remember that, oh yeah, there's more than just Fortnite out there, you know? Okay, so let's see. Let me try to come up with some facial features here. And let's see. And so also the other thing is I'm not a caricature artist. I mean, as you could tell with my other drawings of the Jumanji characters. Is this the first one you're seeing, or have you been following along with all of them? I try to throw one in every now and then. But as you could tell, I'm not the kind of person that says, okay, this is now going to look like X, you know? So I just kind of throw in features that are close enough and just build from there, you know? So just having some fun with this one and seeing where we go. Okay, so his head would be kind of like that, but his hat is all kind of bent over and floppy, all floppity, flippity floppity all over his face. Okay, that's not too bad. I kind of like that. I think I can go with that. Okay, so I think that's good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to erase some of it, just so when I do the Sharpie, it's going to stand out a little bit more, because I don't want the pencil to stand out. If you're going to use pencil, go for it. Or, you know, if you're still using pencil, keep going. That's awesome. I'm just going to switch over to Sharpie, and so I just want to take this down just a little bit, just so it's faint. Let's make my own special ghost with my special computer. All right. Okay, that's perfect. I like that. I like that. So let's welcome all the skippers, all the people that skip to this Sharpie section of the video. Welcome, skippers. Welcome to the Sharpie section of the video. I'm glad you skipped to this section so we can have some fun. We're going to be using a Sharpie fine point and a Sharpie pen, mostly the fine point, but the pen is a little bit smaller and I can control line widths much better. So I'm going to start off with this so I can start off with the eyes. The face details are basically what I'm going to play around with because, or use this for, because this is way too thick for face details. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with the eyes. I'm going to draw the top of the lid, see if I got them going straight across the way I want to go. So I'm just going to kind of draw them over like that over my sketch. That's not bad. I like where we are. So I can just keep going. If I didn't like it, I would have to start over, unfortunately, but I'm happy with this. So let's go. So I'm going to draw the iris like that. It's a little bit big, but I'm going to go with it. Now I'll draw in some of the pupil, just a little bit as far as I'm going. If you're doing this with a pencil or your drawing is a lot bigger than mine, you go for it. I can't. These will bleed. And so as tiny as this is, I got to be careful with that bleed. So I'm just going to try to play around with just a few lines. I'm going to come in like that, but I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm going to let the iris implicate, or not implicate, I say that a lot. I'm going to let the iris imply that there's a bottom edge to that eyelid. So that's all I'm going to draw, like that. So see how it just kind of implies the bottom of it? That's all we can do because, again, these are going to bleed too much. So I got to be very careful with that. So let me go ahead and give them some eyebrows. And again, just kind of following my sketch. And something else I was talking about in the sketch part of the video is that I am not a caricature artist. So this isn't going to look 100% like... what's his name? Kevin Hart. God, I couldn't think of his name. All I can do is come up with features that look close enough and you get the idea who it is, you know? So here I'm just going to play around with his nose. And like I said, I got to be careful. There's only so much I can do because it's going to start to bleed. Like that. Maybe do something like that because I do want to add a few of the defining features, but nothing too crazy. That's good. I can live with that. So now I'm going to draw his mouth like this. Okay. Oops. It's a little bit of a frown, but that's okay. He's Franklin Finbar. He's a little worried to be there right now anyway, you know. And for the lips, all I'm gonna really do is just something like this. I'm not gonna draw too much. It's hard to draw man's lips and not make it look like lipstick. So it's really rough. But what I can do is, well, let's do this. Let's finish up the face, and then I'll come back and I'll do a little bit of he's got a little goatee. I'll do a little bit of that, and that'll help us define a little bit more of his features. Okay, so I'm going to draw the sides of his jaw, and I come up like this a little bit, give him a little bit of a cheekbone, something like that. And his ear's going to kind of disappear behind his hat, so I'm not going to go too far with it. And I'm also thickening this up just a little bit because I'm going to start to use the big Sharpie in a second, and it's super fat. So I'm trying to match what's about to happen with the other Sharpie. Okay, so more of the jaw over here, gonna come up for his cheekbones. Again, do something like that. And that's a little wide there. Oops, you know what? It should have been down here for the hat, but that's okay. I'm gonna make it work. Let's just draw some ears, what we'll do right here. That'll kind of cover up what we did right there. So, see, it should have been a little bit higher. I'm gonna go off like this. And I drew his cheekbone a little wide there, didn't I? So I'm going to try to thin that out a little bit, kind of give him some detail to make his face a little thinner. I'll just kind of hide it with some what do you call it? Sideburns, a little something like that, just to try to make it fit a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and draw him a little bit of a little goateed mustache going around like that. Not much, just something like this. Just kind of playing around with it like that. And I can't tell from the picture if it goes all the way down to the bottom. I think it does. So I'm going to go ahead and do something like this just to give him more of a what do you call it? Goatee. That's what it is. Okay, and so see, it's not 100% like him, but that's okay. This is my drawing. This is what I do. This is how I draw. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the big Sharpie now, and I'm going to draw his hat. I'm going to have it kind of coming around, wrapping around his head, all flippity floppity over like that. And I'm going to draw the big floppity front of it like this. Just following my sketch. Come back underneath here and hang it in there. And the top of his head, you can see a little bit like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And so just for fun, I'm just going to add a few lines because his hat does have a few little features like that. And that's all. And I'm not even worried about whether it's all parallel or perfect, you know. I'm just drawing something like that just to give it just a little bit of a different texture. And then, you know, color will play a lot more with that. So I have him with his little kerchief knotted up like that, kind of over like this. We draw the ends hanging down. And since we're here, we might as well give it a little bit of a detail like that. And then I'm gonna wrap it around his neck like this. Come back in here and wrap it back around, and that'll define his neck there. And it'll also give us edges of the of his shoulders. Something like that. All right. So let's see. So now I've got his backpack. You see he's got straps that I'm going to connect like this, because we're going to put his, if I can remember, we're going to put his little pack on him that he's holding, because he's the munitions expert, right? Or not munitions, but he's the cache, the carrier. He's got all the weapons. So let's draw this one over here, but I'm going to stop and go into his hand like that. So basically he's holding on to that strap over here. And so the other end is going to kind of come in here like this. And so now I can kind of draw his hand, the back of it. So we're just going to kind of do something like this, holding his strap. Okay, and that also means it gives us start-stop points that we can play around with to start working on his arm here. And basically we're going to do that. And he's got his sleeves pretty tight on him because I've got it bunged up like that. Oops, I keep going into the hand like that. Don't mean to do that. Sorry. But since it is just his regular hand, we'll go ahead and just draw a few little things like this just to play around with lines, you know, that he has in his hand, something like that. And what I'll do is he's got like binoculars that he carries on him, so I'll just draw a pack, something like this. See if we can find a better picture where there's a little something like that. We'll just give it some little texture. Okay. And let's see, his shirt's open and it's where the pack is, and so we'll just kind of draw his I guess it's a vest, yeah. But that's not for his what do you call it? His binoculars. Whew, couldn't think of that word. We'll just do that for the binoculars, something like that, just to define that it's a little bit different. And so now we're just going to draw his shirt kind of hanging over like this. And there, see, it's pretty simple like that. And I'll draw a couple of lines and creases because he is hunched over, and so his shirt and jacket's all kind of bunged up because it's all bent over like that. So let's draw his other arm here. So we'll draw the edge of his jacket, this thing, a vest. I don't know what that is really. We'll define it there too. And so now I can draw his shoulder, his shirt, like that, his arm to his elbow. I'm going to draw his forearm to his wrist, like that. And I could draw his hand just kind of out. And so I'm going to do something like this for his thumb. And it should be more, oops, it should be more, that looks kind of like a stub. But see, because it's facing at you, it should be more like that you can't see it pointed at you. So it's kind of a little odd shape, but that's okay. That's all right. He's kind of, his hand is out and it's, he's just kind of like that. He's kind of startled, you know, he's Franklin, he's Finbarred. He's all Finbarred up, you know. I'll draw his ring finger like this. I'm sorry, that's his middle finger, right? And his other fingers I'm going to start to put down like that. You can't really see them. So it's kind of something like this, you know. Again, it's not a glove, so we can't really hide a lot of things here, but we can play around with a few thick lines to hide just a few little mistakes. These Sharpies are hard to work with, but I'm trying to make it possible that you can draw with what you have, you know. All this stuff is stuff you can find around your house. Ask your parents for some copy paper or some Sharpies, you know. It's just stuff you can get around the house. Okay, so now we're just going to basically just draw his pants. We're going to draw his shorts, his shorty shorts. He's got stretched out because he's in a wide stance. There's his pockets. Something like that. And we'll go ahead and just draw some stress lines for his pants because they are stretched from he's in a long stance. Something like that. And we'll just draw just a few little lines just to, you know, make this other stuff come alive, because I know there's not much we can really do here with just material, you know. I mean, it's fun, but you know, we gotta try to make it creative. Okay, so now I'm just going to draw his legs, and this is just anatomy is all it really is. So I'm going to draw the leg to the shin, or the calf, I guess is what that is. There's the other side here, and that's where his boot's going to be. I'm going to draw his little sock. I'll draw him a knee in a second. I'm just going to draw him his boots, something like this. This leg's kind of up. We'll go ahead and draw a little bit of a tread like that because he does have on hiking boots because he's in ready for action. We'll just kind of do something like this just for the what do you call it? The laces. And so I'll give him a little bit of a kneecap, you know, just something like this, just so we can see that there's anatomy, you know. That wasn't necessary. I was just trying to do like a shin line, but maybe you do it, maybe you don't. No big deal. All right, so same thing over here. We're just gonna do anatomy. It's gonna be the top of the leg. That's where his knee's gonna be. His ankle over here. Same thing, other part of the calf. Ankle there to the boot. This one's gonna be up like that, kind of. Again, I'm just gonna, oh, I did it with this one. I'll add just a few little lines. Just because, you know, they're socks. It's material, it's cloth. If it's cloth, I like to add something, you know, a little bit of bend in the material, just so you know that there's something there, you know. He may need to pull his socks up. All right, so I'm going to draw his boot now. Something like this. Again, draw him some tread for his little hiking boot. And just do a little bit of wear and tear over it like that, something to give it some detail, some fun, you know. Okay, before I go any further, I say let's take care of the rest with color, make it look awesome, and that is Franklin Finbar. Oh, no, stop. Remember I told you if I can remember, and sure enough I forgot, his backpack. This strap is holding on a huge bag that's got a whole bunch of stuff in it, right? So this is all we're gonna do, something like this. But I almost forgot, and that's why I told you, sometimes I forget, sometimes I don't. So, I'm gonna draw just some stress lines, just because, you know, that's being held up by the strap right here. Okay, so now we'll take care of the rest with color. And that is Franklin Finbar from Jumanji 2. So here is my colored version. You could do it however you like. I just thought I'd show you how I decided to color it. If you'd like to color it like this, you can always pause the video here and use the coloring techniques that I used, or you can just make it your own. Remember, this is how I draw. You draw how you draw. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures of how I draw. Plus, don't forget to hit that notification button to be updated about each new video.